the Lightning Sicilian, aka the Sveshnikov. Reason I call it the Lightning Sicilian is because when lightning strikes, it strikes fast. Black strikes much in the center, many times. There's a whole bunch of pawn play in the center, and much of it is anti-positional. It's a very fascinating opening. Magnus versus Fabiano made this opening very, very popular in the World Championship match. It was played a lot in that match. Now there's 80 moves of theory, 8,000 different lines. Kind of ruined the fun. But back in the day, versus Aximov versus Timoshenko in Leningrad, 1967, two Soviet grandmasters. Less theory, more fun, right? As a direct inverse relationship. We're saying both words. So the Sveshnikov is a subset of the Open Sicilian. Pawn to e5, we are officially in the Sveshnikov. So you give white an outpost, but you meet them in the center. So, win some, you lose some. The knight shouldn't really go back to f3. White would like to use that. Knight f5 is an old line. Knight b3 is a side line. Knight db5 is the main line. Now, as black, you don't really want to start kicking the knight because then they have queen takes d6. You can't castle. You can't move. You can castle quickly as white, so bad things can happen. You got to go pawn d6. So you see, we have a backwards pawn. What is that? It's a pawn that cannot move. And we have an overextended e-pawn, meaning they have an outpost. Bishop to g5, trying to exploit the pin, get that knight to d5. Pawn to a6, kicks out the knight, has to go to a3, and now b5 is the natural follow-up after a6. White does not want to get forked. He does want to exploit a pin, so he goes knight db5. Knight d5. Bishop to e7, cutting the pin. Now bishop takes, pawn c3. Okay, what is the point of pawn c3? At surface level, maybe it's to slow down your knight. But the abstract value of it is that you can get a knight to c2, e3, connect it to the knight on d5, and have two beautiful knights rather than one, and this guy on a3. Knight c2, bishop to g5. Okay, when I looked at this move, I did not like it. I did not know this was still theory because I don't play the Sveshnikov. There's also these doubled f-pawn lines that are crazy, but I was scared of h4, right? Because you can't take the pawn because then queen h5 and you just get mated. Or you lose a bishop, both of which are bad. So you'd have to go bishop h6. I think the natural follow-up would be pawn to g5, storming this kingside bishop on h6. But since the g-pawn is now overextended, bishop to f4 is a good move. You might be like, whoa, can't he double up the pawns? Yes, he can. Can he come after the doubled pawns? Yes, he also can. But then we get a good knight on e5. They can't castle, and we have counterplay all of a sudden. They can also blunder very quickly. So it's a line. Not bishop g2, but everything other than that is a line. But white plays bishop d3. So the main idea is to go f5 in the Sveshnikov. Also d5, hint, hint. And we get knight e7 trying to re-prepare f5. White snaps off the knight, but now knight e3 is no longer a nice move because double d-pawns. Double isolated e-pawns, even worse. Okay, castles. Where does this bishop want to go? e6 is a good move. b7 is also a good move. He chooses b7. So now he really wants to play f5 because then the bishop will turn into a sniper rifle. We get queen e2, f5, and pawn cannot really take because then we get pawn to e4 and the bishop is trapped. We're not exactly pinned because our bishop defends the queen. So we get pawn to f3, and now Lightning Sicilian, d5. Look at this. 3 pawns in the center of the board facing the e-pawn. There's not many openings that turn out like this. But basically, he's like, I have the bishop pair. I need to explode and open the position so that my bishops thrive. We get rook ae1, d takes, f takes. Should you take this pawn? No. Why not? Because we're going to trade into an endgame and have an isolated pawn. Are isolated pawns good in the endgame? No. So pawn f4. Closing down the position. Anti-positional. But look at his minor pieces. They are garbage. So he tries to improve them. Knight to b4, trying to get a knight to d5, maybe also trying to route a bishop to over-control d5. We get bishop h4, okay, a nice move, threatening the rook to move. When the rook moves off the e-file, the e-pawn becomes softer. Rook to f6, when you have an extended f-pawn, kind of like in the Dutch, you're trying to rook lift, get to the king. Bishop c2, a route, double up on the f-file. Why? Well, maybe you're going to play f3 and soften up the king. So we get king h1. Now the king's on the h-file. So we put a rook on the h-file, right? Attack. Rook f3. Now bishop to g3, exploiting the pin. Pawn to h3. All right. The game is basically over if you find the next move. Can you find the next move? Positional chess. Backwards bishop move. Bishop to c8. By the way, I'm going to get a haircut. My hair is like all in my face. Fuck that. Bishop c8, aiming at the pawn on h3. Mate is ensuing. We get bishop takes, right? It just looks like mate. G takes, rook takes. He went king g1, but if king h2, it's going to be the same line. So king g1. For the life of me, I don't know why he didn't just go queen h4. That's a very easy mate. But he went queen c5. Point is, king up, king here, rook check. If king moves, you're in a discovery. If king moves, you're also in a discovery. And if rook takes, that's mate in one. So that's the worst of them all. But yeah, a great game by two great grandmasters. Sveshnikov is a fun one. Give it a try. I wonder how many moves of theory you and your opponents will go into. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and peace.